Okay, let's start the workshop, and thanks for everyone joining this session. This session is about how can we use open sensor kit to empower us like smart citizen. I'm going to share a slider with Chinese translation in case you have any problem in the upcoming presentation. So let me. 所以，感谢大家今天来参加。那我放了一个投影片，它有等一下我们的墨西哥艺术家要分享的资料的中文资讯。So let me introduce our project, Invisible Matter Plastic Soup. So this project started with me and Chucho from Mexico. So we have been talking about sensors, data, and how can we use them as part of the artistic practice. And we have just finished the installation of an exhibition in Treasure Hill in Taipei. So if you haven't visited the site, please do. Please come and have a visit. And we will have a brief introduction of the PIP project in Mexico. And then we will start assembling our sensor kits and try to connect them to the internet with a proper tag so we can have access to your sensor data. And then we will use those data and sensor kits to start the next phase of creation. So let me give the time to Chucho. So Chucho, please introduce yourself, and then please start sharing your PIP project in Mexico. 好，我们欢迎 Chucho.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chucho, or Jesus. I am a Mexican architect and artist. I just graduated from Art, Culture, and Technology program from MIT. As Pohau said, over the past maybe couple of years, we've been always talking about what could data actually do, and what can data, what can it do in general, and what does it mean, or like how does it impact an artistic practice or like an artistic research? And most importantly, I think how can artistic research or projects like the one we're going to show you can impact not just on the arts, but also like on like putting a light on like pressing issues of climate change and governance and like very pressing matters of how cities are built and like how we are treating the environment, right? So I'm gonna show you present. Can everybody see my screen? I'm assuming that's a yes. Pohau, can you see?
Yes.
Okay. So as part of this project, I think this is the Plastic Soup Invisible Matter project comes out of some I think things that were big questions from a previous project that I have with a firm I have in Mexico called Deriv Lab, in this project called PIP, right? So one of these questions was, okay, we have the technology now to use these sensors, which are relatively small and accessible, like the one you're going to assemble today. We can generate a lot of information, but still there is a bridge between what we can generate as maps or as visuals and what does a general audience understands about what is being measured, right? So in a way, I think plastic soup, invisible matters, is a great way of or a great response to this idea that comes from PIP. Pohao, I don't know how much you want me to stop in between, or should I just go?
Yeah, you just go. I will find a proper moment to have a
Okay.
conclusion and translation.
So PIP means it's short for Prototipos de Infraestructura Pública, which means prototypes of public infrastructure for a city of the future, right? So what we're trying to do with PIP is to use whatever infrastructure is being built to put these technologies and kind of make some sort of parasites in things that are being built in the city to get information out of these new stations, right? So imagine the city is building a set of bus stations. Now apart from calling them bus stations, we will also call them bus station / environmental sensing station, right? So you just have to input one of these devices and just plug it into the to electric current to turn that kind of small public infrastructure into some sort of antenna or like environmental sensing observatory that then can repeat itself and record and start sensing like a bigger array of places in the city, right? So it's a mix between data that is gathered by these sensors that informs actions to mitigate climate change, which is, I think, the main topic that we're addressing. And then using infrastructure, using this technology in the infrastructure that is already being built, right? So it's not about creating like this new observatory of invisible matters and like this super high-tech thing. It's completely the opposite. It's just making these sort of parasites and locating them in the infrastructure that the city is already building, right? So the context of this, of course, is Guadalajara, as I will mention later, but you'll have to know, I understand by some conversations I have with Pohao and the team in Taiwan that Taipei, for example, is a very well sensed city, right? Like you can have a lot of readings in comparison, like a city of Guadalajara, right? Like Guadalajara doesn't really measure that much, and that has, of course, a reason, which is if you sense, you have to respond to those measurements, right? So what we're trying to tackle into is how to make governments accountable for their planning and how to make a historic reading of how the climate or like the environment is changing with their decisions, right? So right now with the network that we have put in the city of Guadalajara, you can have at least 1 year of history of all the readings. And if they decide, I don't know, to make a larger highway or a smaller highway or pedestrianize a city or not, you can have the reading since they decided this or that. So that creates a very important precedent for the project as well.
Yeah. Okay, Chucho, let me有任何人有问题吗？那我大概讲一下，就是他的意思，就是说，就是我们用这样的 sensor，它像一个很小的装置，可以寄生在城市中已经有的基础建设上。那所以我们并不是说要另外打造一个网络，而是说这个 PIP 这个计划是想要利用城市既有的基础建设，例如说公车站等等，或是公路旁边的一些设施，让这些感测器可以串联成网。那这跟台北相比的话，因为台湾原本就有很多的这种智慧公民啊、环境感测模组，像空气盒子，或是也有一些开源社群在做。那台北的基础建设也比较发达，但在它墨西哥那个城市，我不是很会念，就那个城市它比较不是主要的大城市，他们没有那么多基础建设，所以他们就试着要去把感测器布置到这个城市中，然后 去并用这样的方式去，可以一方面是说，因为你跟着这些基础建设，你就是跟着这个城市的纹理，所以它一方面也就会跟生活比较有密切的结合。Okay, Chucho, please continue.
Okay, I won't take so long next time. So what is it? Just like in very simple terms, it's a strategy that enables public buildings to become spaces for climate change mitigation, right? Like through the development and fabrication of measurement and monitoring prototypes like this one, or the ones we are also working on in Taiwan, right? So we are using these technologies that generate data on transport, active transport, air quality, solar and renewable energy, and energy efficiency and noise. So what this sensor is doing, which is quite amazing, is that just in one board, they managed to put five sensors, right? So we are working with this. So these 5 sensors will be like our 5 inputs for all the time and space that we will be working on. Where, as I said before, is in the metropolitan area of Guadalajara, which is right here, like in the southwest of Mexico, or like right the center west of Mexico. And Guadalajara is like the 3rd biggest city in Mexico. And we place them all around this like peripheric road that they are building, right? Pojo, should I stop? No, should I continue?
Yeah, just continue.
So how we're using 3 different scales. So one is the big scale, which is this like huge polygon of the city of Guadalajara. We're using intermediate scale, which is like a specific polygon of the city to just know what the particular challenges of that area are. And of course, the micro scale, which is done by these small sensors, right? So it's like hyper localized data through the local network that we are deploying with the sensors, which is kind of what we will be doing with you, with your help in Taipei, right? So we use different platforms and different sensors for the PIP project, and then we use Google Environmental Insight Explorer. And we're mixing all of these tools to get like a sense of whatever the city is reading, and then create some reports on how to do this.
好，所以那个秋秋他们就是这个计划呢，PIP 计划他们用了不同维度的感测方式。那其中这些感测器是处理比较微观的观察，那他们也有比较比较大的尺度的，然后跟比较中型的尺度的。那个是他们有用另外的不同的装置去回应，因此也跟我们的塑胶汤计划的 approach 是相关的。所以这是一个拉丁美洲的合作交流计划嘛，是台湾跟拉美的一个交流。所以我们在这个主题上各自有发展出不同的切入方式。那秋秋他们也用了这个 Google 的开源工具 Google Environmental Insight Explorer 去进一步观察。Okay, Chucho, please continue.
So our complementary sensors for the PIP project are like these ones that you see here. And what we're doing now is like we generated a set of data, which is like a repository of all these readings that all of these sensors did. And now we are in the task of generating different visualizations and different readings for all of the data that we gathered, right? So from here is when we got, I think, like one of the biggest questions, which is like we can get as much data as we can. Like we already have like a lot of data, like we have servers working and stuff, but there is still like kind of a bridge between how to show the data, and not just with maps or visually, but how to show this like in an effective way, or like in a more direct way to a general audience, right?
对，那大家可以看到秋秋他们有用了不同的 sensor，那其中有一个是那个黑黑那个是另外一个 sensor，他们把它挂在脚踏车上，然后 在城市移动，那就补足了他们不同尺度的 sensor 方式，让他们也用了许多就是跟 digital fabrication，就是数位构筑，例如用3D 列印啊、镭射切割啊，那用这些方式去设计适合的 sensor。那这也是关乎就是我们怎么应用就是当代的科技，这些新兴的创意的科技，来辅助我们可以更成为一个有力量去介入这些可能我们过去觉得很宏大的议题。Okay, Jojo, please go on.
So of course, for what is to help governments in decision making and generation of public policies to mitigate climate change, as I mentioned. Of course, generate new ways of visualizing this data, which is always invisible, by interpolating different historical records. And of course, through a strategy that involves workshops like the one we're doing now, manuals and installations of equipment in specific areas of the city. So we have done in the past several workshops like this one in person and virtually. And we have partnered up with different groups in the city, for example, like the activists that are working a lot around like cyclists' rights and that are helping like the city improve its infrastructure for cyclists. So now we are cycling with them with the air pollution sensor. And now we're giving data out of these types of walks, or we're giving them to people that work in the city, for example, the guys that sweep or like the pick up the trash, or policemen, or people that are moving around. Like these sensors are acting also as kind of parasites that just latch in onto them and then just start measuring as well, like the air quality and the environmental layers that we want to get.
OK， 所以所以大家也看到秋秋他们就是有办了很多的 workshop， 然后有制作了一些 manual 一些手册，用公众活动的形式让大家就是实际操作。那他们也有去跟很多不同的群体建立起合作关系，例如把这些另外已经自己做好的产品的 sensor 给警察啊等等这种会在城市里一直移动的人。那这样的方式就让他们就是来跟不同群体建立关系，然后这也可以就是如他们所讲的那个愿景这样，就是跟很多的民众让他们能够实际来参与这个计划。Okay, Chucho, go.
So also another part that I think was nice about the process of PIP was as well like what else can we do with the sensors, right? Like how there were people asking that they could also be some sort of decoration, or they could be like kind of like a small sculptor. How could they live like in everyday life, and how can you like be like again feeding this repository of data, right? So again, with these questions, we designed what we call dispositivo expositivo, or like exposition device, which is a big scale kind of analog sensor, which which is connected to this idea of the environmental layers that we are sensing in the city, but it's became like a big scale. It has become like a big scale exposition of what we are sensing, right? So for air, it has like these wheels that spin. For light, it has like this light light sensors that will light up this tree, and so it's reacting the same way as the sensor, but in a very mechanical way, which helps a lot to reach like a wider audience to see what we are doing for the project, right?
对，那这边也给大家看一下，就是他就是有提到那些感测器啊，他们在这个过程中也有试着鼓励民众去可以做不同装饰啊，然后大家可以看到照片，他们把它放在不同地方。这也是我们这场工作坊希望大家可以利用手边的已经获得的 sensor 来协助我们一起执行的事情，让我们能够有很多来自不同地点、不同 层级的数据。那大家现在看到的这张照片就是他们做的大的装置，那这也是一个概念的 prototype， 上面有很多可以对环境一些，比如说风啊、光啊等等产生回应的一些 component， 一些小的部件。那他们就把这个装置作为一个象征，然后分别去介绍环境中的不同层次跟不同来源的变动。Okay, Chucho, please go on.
So at the end, what we're trying to do is, like generate this network, but also it's important for us to know who is measuring, not just like to work with universities and show how nice this work can be, but to work with the local actors and create networks that are confirmed by academia, local governments, private consultants, but also civil society and local stakeholders, right? So it involves like a whole array of people that could work together and create like this kind of transparent network of data. So it works in favor of everyone, right? Like not just for an institution or not just for a group of people, but for everyone. So just to say, like PIP was it's a project by the RIB Lab, which is the office that I am partner of. And we're just a multidisciplinary laboratory that just seeks to explore and understand new ways of living and thinking about the city, right? Perhaps we can just, this is part of the team that worked on this. And this project was supported by Fondo de Acción México, which is like part of the global efforts to strengthen local data-driven initiatives. And it's part of also like this philanthropic branch of Google known as google.org, and 𝐒𝐴, which is like that supports sustainability for local governments. So we got this grant thanks to Fondo Acción México and of course like Google and 𝐒𝐴, right? I think that we can finish there for people.
对，大家应该都可以理解，就是这个关于这个计划，然后关于他们在环境变迁上想要去做的努力，那他们比较像是一个智慧实验室这样。那这个 team 就是都致力在这种关于，然后他们就获得了包括墨西哥政府还有 Google 的经费，去讨论关于永续发展以及比较偏向创意实践的这些路线。那大家如果有问题的话，也可以提出，可以直接问球球，也可以跟我说，那我再来跟球球讲。大家如果没有问题的话，我们就会进到讨论感测器的环节。Okay, so yeah. So we can continue to our next part about our project in Taiwan. 大家可以看到，这是我们的现场的装置。
Should I go on?
Yeah, please go on.
Okay. So having this in mind, and even while being in the process of making PIP, as I mentioned before, like we also had these questions, and then we got the opportunity to apply to this grant from the Taiwan Ministry of Culture, of collaboration between Latin America and Taiwan. And we proposed exactly that, like how can art inform new ways of relating to data, which is like a very abstract way of relating to environmental sensing, and how like through these instruments that we design together, can we make a broader audience understand and relate to planetary scales of environmental phenomena, right? So we ended up dividing like this sensor that I think most of you have with you in their very basic components, and then creating one object to each of these different things that the sensor is measuring, right? So like air or light, or this like very atmospheric pressure, like this very broad subjects, and we summed it down into different interfaces for us to familiarize and recognize again, like what is it that we're measuring, right? Like, so at the end, these objects are like an attempt for us to begin observing again what are these invisible matters that are always around us, and just to just take a step into understanding again, like what we already kind of know, right? Like how atmospheric pressure works, or how light works, or how noise affects us, and how like topography can change like our relationship to a city, for example.
对，那大家现在看到的是我们现在展场的实拍画面。那这些装置都是可以移动的，可移动装置。那这些装置它反映了不同层级的关于光、关于地面的波动，还有关于我们的城市中的气流、风啊等等。那我们在台湾做成跟在墨西哥不太一样，就是我们这些装置都是可以移动的。那我觉得它也反映了在不同城市的生活经验。对，那Chucho刚才也分享了很多他对于这个计划的想法。Chucho, please go on.
So perhaps,
这个是
yeah.
Okay, so you go first.
Sorry. No, you go.
I'm just going to introduce this device. This is 所以这个是就是它是我们想要去找一些我们讲的 invisible matter， 就是一些 hidden layer， 一些看不到的层次。那这些台北的话，就是我们都会对地表的那些起起伏伏很有感觉嘛，就有时候会看到在修路啊，有时候真的就会觉得说好像在那些就是对，是盆地嘛。所以我们就做了这个，它基本上就是在移动的时候，它会随着你的移动、震动地面的一些起起伏伏，那上面悬挂的像是一个地震仪这样子的一个重物，加上一支笔，它就会在纸张上画出不同的轨迹。那你可以从这个轨迹上很容易看出来，它刚才这个 device 它经过的那一段路是怎么样的状态。但这个地面上的变动有可能很细微，就是有可能我们如果是用人的尺度或是车的尺度走过去，我们不一定会感觉到。对 OK, Chucho. OK, yeah. So there's a video， 这有个影片是关于这个感测器，大家可以，我们看完这个影片就会开始一起来组装这个感测器。OK, Chucho.
Should I play it?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
Okay, so this is yeah, just to start with the assemblage of the sensor. I think we just have a very short video to show you how to assemble it. It's a very straightforward, so we're just gonna play.
大家可以看到，这是非常直接的组装流程。好的，那大家看完了组装流程，是不是觉得很简单？所以基本上你只要把它组起来之后，但是可能要麻烦你，如果有电脑啊，或是充手机的那个豆腐头，你要接一下电源，让它可以有电，然后我们就可以把它连上网路。 Okay, Jojo, so I think now is the time for us to continue to maybe the Smart Citizen official website to see the platform.
Yeah.
And then it's our connecting session. 我们要试着把它连上网，这就是我们今天的目标。
Let me just move this thing here. So what the platform is doing, this is the smartcitizen.me/kids platform. What it is doing is created this network of almost the whole world. Any person that has a sensor gets connected to the same platform, the same way that we're going to do today, right? So the ones that we have connected already, they were about 100. Some of them went on, some of them are off. It depends on how much people are taking care of them, of course. But from here, we can know a lot about, for example, what is connected, right? So every sensor, like as I mentioned, is hyper localized. So then we get the readings, like exact readings of that specific sensors, and then we can just call them and start comparing, for example, the ones that we have here in Guadalajara with the ones that could be otherwhere, like in South America or I don't know, anywhere else, right? So this is the platform where the Smart Citizen platform, and then from here we will be calling an API and just to mess like and mix with that data that is being generated. Should we go to this one, Poho?
Yeah, let's go with this one and yeah. 所以请大家如果手边有 sensor 的话，景婷、Jennifer 还有 Angel， 我们可以把 sensor 拿出来，如果还没组装的话，可以一起把它组起来。So I think we can like it's a time for us to try to remotely assemble the sensor kits together, and if everyone encounters any problem, we can try to figure it out together.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So maybe I can give you also this link in the chat.
今天你要不要把那个摄影机打开，让球球可以看到你在组？
好，试试看。
So if everyone has their kits, this webpage is super helpful. So at the end, we just have to follow the steps and see like what's in the box. I think all of us got one of these, which is one board that has all the sensors. I think it's 5 of them, and another one that has like the microprocessors. And this is a particular matter sensor and this cable, right? So first is you go, Pojo, please. Wait.
Huh? Okay. 对，大家可以跟球球一起来组装这个。他手上有一个，我刚好手边没有，所以请大家一起来把它组起来。Okay, Chucho, please continue.
Yeah. So first step is to take the particular matter like little box. It usually looks blue because it has like a coat of this plastic thing. So yours looks like this. It's just that it has the plastic wrapping around it. So take one extreme of the cable and you have to connect it like in the picture like that. And once it's done, you have to plug it on the other side. Like now for us, it's easier if we do it as in the video and we don't plug this last part and we finish while doing in the other side, right? So you can see here. So we have our clips, the boards, and the particulated matter sensor, right? So first we just put the SD card in its slot. We connect both of them, both boards like that. You don't have to force it or anything, it will just come through. Make sure both of them, like you have to put that little cable in one of these kind of little like holes that the clip has, so it holds together. And then just plug it in. You have to slide the complete board there, and then just connect it on the other side. And that's all.
就是这么简单，大家试试看有没有问题。好，接下来要帮它插电。
So ours doesn't come with a battery, so we're just gonna connect directly to a power source. And at the beginning, the LED will be red. So if everyone is red and nobody has questions, we can just go through.
Wait, 大家都有开始组装了吗？有人遇到问题吗？会不会他们刚刚讲太快，还来不及看清楚呢？
对，如果看不清楚的话，大家可以参考刚才的那个官方教学的链接，或者你可以开镜头，把你的感测器拿起来，让我们可以看看有没有什么问题。我们没有给大家电池，是因为我们希望大家可以持续的提供资料，所以如果用电池的话，很容易没电。那大家就可以找一个比较方便的地方，可以插着电线，就是插着普通的 Android 用的 USB 充电线，让它
我们应该都有附线给大家，所以他们其实就是线，一头是那个 micro USB， 我们应该一头是，我有点忘记。
对，一边是正常的 USB。
对，所以一边正常的 USB 那个头只要插上豆腐头，然后或者插电脑嘛，对不对？不好，就是插桌或电脑，
对，
可以就可以让它持续的运转。不过还是要之后我们待会还是要连上网站，对不对？不好。
对，我们还是要就希望大家可以帮他创建一个 tag， 这个 tag 可以让我们比较好收到你们的感测器。
所谓的 pad 是指什么意思？在网络上中间
那个 tag 就跟那个就是标签，要有一个标签，对。
tag OK， 比如说大家自己的名字或大家自己在的区域是哪一区，这样会比较好辨认，对不对？那大家没有问题的话，我们就要让Chucho进到下一步。如果有问题，请不要害羞，可以直接跟我们说。那没关系，如果待会有问题，也可以随时留言，或者是随时就是举个手，我们就会看到。好，那我们先继续播好。
好 ，OK， Chucho yeah, I think we finished the slide. Chucho, you have one on your hand, right?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So should we follow through or not?
Yeah, so it's time to connect. Yeah, I think no one really raised the question, so we can continue to the connecting part.
Okay, so I mean, either way, when you have it, this is very easy to follow through. What's important is how we name the device, right? So on the mobile device or like in the Wi-Fi, it will connect to this Wi-Fi called Smart Citizen, right? Whenever this thing has whenever the board has an red LED, right? And then if it's connected, you should then see this window, and then just start and follow through just like the instructions that they already have in place. You just select the Wi-Fi from this list, and then you just enter your own password, and then it will connect to your own Wi-Fi, and then just
对，大家用那个手机，可以用手机先或电脑，就是先找到这个感测器创建的网路。大家找得到吗？思维有找到吗？
Yeah. So I think the most important part of this connecting session is, of course, just follow these very, very simple instructions, but then it's how to name your sensor kit. So I think we can just all name it invisible matters, maybe without even this one, invisible matters, _ Taiwan _ like maybe your name if you want. So we can find those sensors when we want to take that information that you are giving to the network, which I think is the key element of because when you follow the instructions, you will be asked to name your sensor, right? So whenever I come here, I can press on this one, and then here it will tell me, okay, this is PIP _01, right? If I go further away and then just go to another one, it will tell me, okay, this is Guadalajara Sistemas Azteca. Or it will tell me another name here, for example, Oficinas PIP or PIP 01, stuff like that. So what is important, I think, is that so we manage our own sensors within like this whole array of sensors. We just have to name them in this way, I think. Invisible matters.
所以大家请把那个你们的感测器照我们这个命名的顺序来命名 ，invisible matters 底线，Taiwan 底线，然后你就帮你的感测器取个名字，或打你自己的名字，这样我们未来比较好找到大家的感测器。那我们也是希望台湾的感测器可以成为一个 network， 它自己是一个网络。那我们就可以再进一步利用这些网络来试试看，把它转换成不同的创作形式。思维有顺利吗？今天有顺利吗？
我想问，就是它有一个，它登入 WiFi 之后，它会问你说你的 device 的 key， 然后有6个 letter， 可是我找不到在哪里。
哦，
好像就是类似一个。
Do you know if they log in and they try to connect to the Wi-Fi, the building Wi-Fi, and it will ask about the key?
Yeah. Previous page, they have a. Oh, okay.
Yeah, this one.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, it's a fixed key. It's like every sensor should type the same.
I think it's yeah, like the token is those 6 letters apparently.
Yeah, this token, yeah.
Yeah.
所以大家要输入的是这个 token， 就这个码，大家试试看。
So if we manage to do it now, they will start popping up around here, hopefully. I think I gave you the token that I was having in my in my session. So let's see.
How's Jennifer, Angel? Do you have any problem, or are you already connected? 大家有没有都连上呢？连上的话，其实可以让我们在平台上找找看你们的那个 sensor。
Yeah, because I think this token will change for anyone that does it. So if you used my token, then it will tell me that it's well done and it's connected to the kit.
哦，对，那个 token 会不一样。哦，对，那个 token 会长不一样，所以大家不要用球刚才那个，用自己的，用自己的 token， 不然它就会显示在球那边。
Yeah.
就是if they like accidentally connect to your token, can they reset?
Yeah. They can always restart the whole process.
Yeah, restart. Okay.
So what you need to do is just follow it with your own like I'm pretty sure that if I just do this and we do it again, then it will give me another token for sure. So home Wi-Fi. Okay, connected. Yes. See, then it gives me another token. But that's because it's reading my location, right? So I think you have to open the link that I sent and then do all this process and just input this token that it will give you. But you'll have to do it with your own device so it reads your location.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So Chucho, these sensors should have access to a stable Wi-Fi, not like those public Wi-Fi. For example, Wi-Fi in metro station, which ask you to log in. It should be like home or office Wi-Fi, and you just need to type the password. You don't need to log in or use any like complicated DNS routing.
Yeah, I think it's asking more for home Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Wi-Fi, yeah, Wi-Fi.
So it's always
所以大家可能要用的就是 可以的话要找一个稳定 WiFi 的地方，例如你的办公室，如果只需要打密码，或是就不是那种捷运站啊，或是可能一些公家场馆还要你登入，因为那样的话你就会很容易跳掉，或者你的连线会很浮动。那给大家的 SD 卡就是说，其实它如果没有连线，可是你有 SD 卡，它还是可以存最近一阵子的资料，会持续洗掉。那因为都是纯文字嘛，那它的那个资料应该是 JSON 格式，所以如果你有个8G、16G 的记忆卡，应该就可以存好一阵子。如果大家有人连上了，希望可以跟我们分享。我们下一个目标就是可以看到大家的感测器。所以如果景婷、诗伟、Andrew 有人连上了，可以分享一下自己的那个感测器名称。So Chucho, we can try to see like after someone successfully connect their device, their kits to the platform, then we can try to find those sensors on the map. Okay, you can try to locate to Taipei first.
Yeah, whenever they are connected, they will just pop up in here, like anywhere where it reads your location. And it's very straightforward. They just start popping out, like whenever you refresh the page, they will just come out in here and immediately start reading all of these different layers of information, right? So as you see now, there's only 3 in Taiwan, and all of them are disconnected, I think, or at least they're not active. But the last reading was 18 days ago, or a day ago, or 9 days ago, right? But they are just considered offline. So I think what would be super interesting is that we get at least a network of, I don't know, 5, 6, or 10, and then we can just start doing the correlation of the data, which could be super nice idea. But at the end, when we just finish doing this, yeah, as Poha was saying, it will just come out in these other parts. They will just pop up here. I can send you this. This link as well, so you can trace it.
Wow. So Jojo, after this session, I think Andrew just said the one in Hsinchu is in the like more west and south. Yeah, I think that this one, Hsinchu Industrial Park. Oh. Yeah, and he said it will be .csv file. Yeah, and so you can see he said he already leave the sensor key there for at least 1 day.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I think like to get maybe like more accurate readings, we need to put it more than a day, of course. And I think it's important to put it maybe on a window or outside with maybe, of course, it doesn't rain on it, but it gets direct access to sun or like light and air from the street. And it's not just on inside the house, right? So maybe like in a porch area or outside a window that it's open, it's a perfect place for the sensor.
Yeah, it might be more stable if you put like especially for humidity and temperature, if you leave the sensor kit indoor. Jojo, do you have any experience on how people leave their sensor kits outdoor to have a more dramatic changing in those data?
So what I've seen is that people usually put it, if they have porches, they would put it like in their porch or outside a window that they know it's going to be always open, or under a like on a covered area, say like in a balcony, for example, but they're always connected to the to electricity, right? Of course, it won't take in like much electricity out of like your house, but it will have to be always connected, right? To be sending data all the time. So I think the best one would be like if you have a access to a plug on a balcony or near a window that you know it's always kind of open. That's great. So then at the end you're getting readings from the city and not just from your house, right? It's of course it's important to get readings out of your house, but they will not like be so related to whatever it's happening in the city, right? So particulated matter, for example, is it changes a lot depending even like if you're cooking, right? Or if there's people inside your house and it has all the windows closed, the readings will be very different than if you have it like on your balcony or outside your window, right? So if you want to leave it outside, you can always also like place something perhaps on top of it, like maybe, I don't know, a piece of plastic if you want, but just be careful not to like obstruct like these holes, for example, that this sensor has, or be careful not to obstruct like the actual sensors that are in here, which are the ones that are receiving the information as well.
Yeah, so Chucho, our participants suggest that if we want to make sure our sensor kit is functional, we can connect it to our computer so that we can see the component. Like we can use Arduino software to monitor the serial port, and with the proper baud rate, we can see if the data is uploading or not. We can see the log of all the information. And some people say they don't have Wi-Fi, the accessible Wi-Fi at this moment, so they cannot connect their device to the platform at this moment.
Okay.
But they will do that after they come home. Yeah, and also if the time, like the sensor, the time in sensor kit, I think it has a time like a chip, an IC for the time. The time is not synchronized to the real world time. The data won't upload. If if there's a like a timing issue. Yeah. So that's why we really need the Wi-Fi, because if you have Wi-Fi access, we can use the internet time.
Yeah.
And yeah. So yeah, and I think for now maybe we can share the we can share the web page.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Can you put it in the chat? I don't have it at hand right now.
Yeah. Here, I send you in the chat. I send you a message. So if you can.
Oh, okay.
Or in WhatsApp. Well, no, in WhatsApp. I also send you in the Zoom meeting. Yeah. So our next step will be we are going to collaborate with front-end engineer to build a web page that you can visualize and sonify the data. 所以我们现在是会跟前端工程师还有设计师合作，去试着将这些 data 感测器的 data 透过他们开放的 API 连到网页。所以你可以看到球球现在分享的荧幕上，可以选择不同的地点的感测器，然后我们就把它上面可以提供的资料，光啊、PM2.5啊、声音等等具象化。那目前用的就是已经存在在平台上的感测器，之后就会再整合。目前在台湾，我们在台湾目前有应该有12个感测器。等大家都陆续上线后，我们就会用这些资料来尝试做一些进一步的应用，然后你也可以拿来比较，同时我们也会试着把它声音化。那这边会是我们的下个阶段的第一步，然后再下一步我们则会试着再去可能开发更多的装置，让那些装置就像一个 IoT 装置一样，可以直接联网。那联网之后，它就可以获得被这些环境感测的资料驱动。那我觉得它是一个很诗意的转换，当然它的实用性，它并不是说真的能够让政府治理城市等等，这也不是我们最初的目的。可是可以感测环境，还有可以透过感测环境来实现诗意表达，去重新审视我们所处的环境跟不同的 layer， 这是这个计划希望可以带给大家的一个想法。So, Chucho, do you want to say something about this web page, like your imagination, and what's next step we can do?
Yeah, so I think this is part of what, not just like with the instruments, we were thinking more about like non-visual aspects of sensing, and like thinking beyond maps or visualizations, and how can people relate to this with their bodies and like in more direct and affective ways. And I think this one is important still, because what we're trying to do is generate like parallel readings of the data we are receiving, right? Like not just saying that you can sense things like with these instruments, but also if we're using the sensors, what else can we do with them while comparing both cities, for example, right? Or both readings. So I think this is a very nice first step for us, which is actually comparing visually and graphically what could be the difference at the same time between two cities, which is the two of which we're working on. And of course, like next steps involve sound and other aspects that will start changing, like this talk between both parts, and or like both places that are being sensed by the project, which I think it's very interesting. Next part also for me would be super interesting to connect even the sensing devices, or like this tower that I showed you, with the instruments we have made in Taiwan. and what could be the outcome of that, right? So it will be data for both places, kind of creating this relation or kind of talking to each other and seeing what would be the result for them. So I think this is a super interesting first step to maybe more things to just kind of make them interact a little bit more in a way, so we can understand them maybe better.
那除了我们做的这个网页之外，它自然可以变成 API， 也就代表它可以被抓到其他的程式里面来使用。我这边也可以，就是今天我们讨论的不只是这个感测器，还有就是如何利用感测器来进行再一步的转化。那我这边可以分享一个之前做过的计划。Chucho, I was thinking maybe I can show like a video I made which showing not the smart citizen kit, but an example that I use another API and I got the data to Max.
Yeah.
So people can understand the concept that maybe not only on the web page, but also you can use the API to do any.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, let me share. So let me play the video.
Sky API 这是一个声音。我们现在要使用的是 Dark Sky API， 这是一个免费的，可以提供你世界各地天气资讯的网站。那大家可以看到，我现在在纽约嘛。那在纽约的话，可以看到它提供了你，比如他们15分钟后要下雨，以及未来1周的天气资讯。你还可以去探索过去跟未来的天气。好，那假设我现在要找台北，我搜寻，好，它就找到了台北。那你可以拉近一点看。好，我们知道气温，我们知道现在是多云等等的。那要怎么样让这个资料可以被汇进 MaxXP 呢？首先，第一步是你要注册它的账号，你要注册一个自己的 developer 账号。那反正你注册之后，你就会获得一组自己的一个 API 的 key， 你的金钥。那你的网址宣告方式呢，就会是在它有一个API.darksky.net 后面，最后贴上你的这个 key， 然后后面再宣告你现在要抓取的位置的经纬度。好，举例来说，如果现在我要用，比如说我要找台北，好，我找到了台北。那找到台北后，我就随便找一个地方，按右键选 What's Here 就可以看到经纬度。好，这个经纬度呢，就是这个位置的。那现在我回到我的这个 Next Patch 里面，那这边就是这里有一个 DICT， 它是 Dictionary 的意思，你点2下就会跳出里面的内容。那其中有一行 URL 的网址，它呢就跟你刚才看到这里的那个，就跟你看到在这边出来的网址方式是一模一样的。好，所以我们现在只要把这个经纬度换掉，我们换成了台北的经纬度，那再把它关掉。这个时候我们按 Fetch， 它就变成亚洲台北，然后同时出来所有天气资料。那再来我们就是把它透过一些Max 的程式逻辑把它分开，然后抓出温度等等的。这边是显示时间，然后那这里有3个小的应用，分别是风、雨跟日照、太阳。那我们来听听看它是什么声音。 好，现在太阳这个参数是对应到正弦波的频率，大家可以点进来看。也就是说，太阳的日晒越明显，那你听到的频率就会越高。好，那下雨这边的声音呢？好，现在没有声音，因为现在台北并没有在下雨，然后风。好，大家就可以听到风声。现在我们来示范，如果要抓，比如我们抓一个会下雨的地方好了，我猜伦敦可能会下雨，所以呢，我在这里打，大家可以来看一下，比如说伦敦有没有在？可大家看到伦敦现在在下雨，那所以我们就一样回来 Google Map 打伦敦。好，那找到伦敦后，我们一样按右键选 What's Here， 就可以获得伦敦的经纬度。好，然后我们回来 Mixpatch 里面，我们一样点2下，叫出这个 Dictionary 里面的这个网址，然后把经纬度换掉。好，换掉之后，我们再按一下抓取资料，大家也看到现在就变成我们在欧洲伦敦，然后我们的 icon 现在天气状态是小雨。好，我们再来听听看阳光的声音，然后下雨。好，因为是小雨，所以听起来就雨声没有很大。大家应该可以听得出来，就是风速上，伦敦的风也比台北强。那这个其实就是你怎么 mapping 而已，并不是说这个声音一定要长这样。我们今天使用的范例是修改自 Albiton Life 公司官方释出的 Connection Kit。
So，所以我们那个有 demo 了，就刚才就是说，我们把数据载下来之后，在不同地点可以做切换，然后你就可以去练习，可能用不同的，像是一般电子乐器的概念去推啊等等的，去重新调变。So, yeah, so Chucho, I just show the example that I got the data from 𝐶𝐧 API, and I only have 3 parameters, if it is raining, the wind, and the sun. So there's one example is like I choose Taipei as the location, but there's no rain in Taipei. So the dial of rain has no effect. But when I switch to London, it's raining, so you can hear the artificial rain. And all the rain and the wind is not the real field recording, it's synthesis sound with the basic waveforms and oscillators. 所以这就是我们之后会希望可以再去做进一步的应用，就是我们有更多的资料，更有系统。我们自己有一个 network， 我们可以尝试做不同的练习。那当然，所有的参与者，像你们或其他未来可能会参加的学员，也可以用自己会的技术，例如网页前端、Web Audio， 或是甚至其他的硬体设备去做串接。那我们希望它可以成为一个持续在进行的一个 practice。好，那 So Chucho, I think it's time for our last session, the Q&A session. And Sophie, 世伟，我们现在就进到我们的 Q&A session。对，如果大家有什么问题 ，Andrew 或是景婷或是 Jennifer 有没有什么问题？或是 Chucho, do you have any question to our participants?
No, maybe we can just follow through the links that we sent, and we'll keep on. We'll be alert to see whenever everyone is uploading their data and then we can start making like more of these readings. Yeah, I mean, and if you have any questions also like that you feel that asking afterwards, you can also email in here. There.
Okay, so if you have any question, you can contact Chucho with the email he just sent out in our chat. 大家可以看到Chucho的信箱，有问题也可以来联络。对，
我想
大家有
问，
没有？
就是
好，请听。
就是那个刺猬啊，它是用什么感测的？用什么方式感测？它是感测光而已吗？还是还有其他的东西跟什么？就是上面那个灯，它是跟着什么变化的？然后是用什么感测的？
好，Chucho, can you talk about the original concept of the light sensing device?
Yeah, of course. I can show you. So the idea of making this light sensing device was to, first of all, like with these instruments or like these interfaces, we talked a lot about, of course, how to make the invisible visible, which is more or less what a sensor does. Is like translating these invisible matters into data and like just kind of like on and off or ones and zeros. And what we're interested on was to generate like an interface that make these invisible matters apparent through manipulating them with your body. So the idea behind this one is that we will create a light sensor that is composed of some sort of a sphere. It's half a sphere, so it reads its entire surroundings. And in every tip, it has a photoresistor that will create this kind of input of yes or no, or light or shadow. And then it will react with the light or the shadow of the street or even of a walk, right? So while designing it, then it ended up kind of looking like a porcupine. So it's also, then we just continued like this kind of half sphere, like pointy kind of idea that resembled some sort of animal, but also was being lit up by different shadows and while walking as well, right? So yeah, I think more like pretty much that was it. And then of course during the process of construction, we figure out that as we made some sort of light of LED array, it can also become some sort of screen or display that can input or store not just store information, but also display information or even videos, right? So it had also like this kind of back and forth between like it being a sensor and like storing data and reacting to phenomena like live, but also it has this capacity to become some sort of like player of recorded walks, for example, or recorded videos, or it displays some other types of data, which I think it's very interesting.
所以我们原本的构想就是我们希望它像一个小夜灯，有光的时候就会变暗，没有光的时候就会变亮。但因为我们目前的那个程式里面还有一个机制是，即使都没有变化，它也会有缓缓的流动，所以可能让它看起来不这么明显。那就是我们可以再针对它的参数去微调。 So Chucho, I think for now, because it has a background patterns constantly running, so it has a minimum light intensity. So that makes the device respond to the surroundings not that obviously. So yeah, so I think we can adjust the threshold to after I go back to Taiwan to make it like more. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen the real device either. So
Yeah.
所以今天我们应该就是我们那个装置现在的那个变动的门槛设的可能还不够明显，所以它理论上是应该是，如果你用手，比如拿一个手电筒去照到的那一块，应该要按掉。
哦，因为它好像的确是会跟着旁边的环境的颜色改。
对，就
但它是感测光这样子。
它一方面是对，它是感测光的强度，它上面有6个光明电阻，有6个光感测的元件，所以它会分区块。那我们本来想做每一个独立控制，但是后来觉得太困难，所以变成就变成是分6块，然后中间会有 transition 是先写好的 fade in fade out， 所以也可能让它看起来变得比较固定，就因为它其实是就是有6个区块，然后但是在按的时候不是直接全灭，它会感觉像 fade in 过去 fade out 过去。对，好，那如果大家没有什么问题的话，我们就是非常准时的从1个半小时的工作坊，那就谢谢大家今天参加。世伟最后有没有想要做个结束？
我想要说的是，我们12月19号就下礼拜天的时候呢，我们还会再延续这个做艺术家座谈，然后我们邀请到这一次参展的6位艺术家都会在现场。那因为南美艺术家他们的背景非常的多元，然后研究取径也都不一样，所以我们这一次也很开心很期待可以邀请到他们来向我们分享他们的研究，因为其实从他们的研究可以发现他们的生长环境地理位置其实对他们的创作脉络造成很不一样的影响，那跟台湾的创作者又不一样，所以其实蛮欢迎大家来听的。然后呢，在宝藏岩的展览的话是展到1月9号，所以其实也只剩几周，只有1个月的时间，那希望大家可以把握时间去参观。那如果想要操作我们的机器的话，其实是每个礼拜6日的下午2点到6点，有我们的工作人员在现场可以协助操作。但光感应是目前因为可能不会，现在可以操作，可能是大家可以看到照片右手边的这一台啦。左手边这个，因为现在要搬出环境，要搬出展场比较困难一点点，所以还不一定会开放。
好 ，So Chucho, we will have our last like artist sharing with all our participants, me and Chucho, and also other artists from Taiwan and Latin America. December 19th. So if you have any further questions, you can please join that session, and we can discuss more during the talk. So Chucho, I think we are going to finish our sharing today, and yeah. So thank you everyone， 谢谢大家。
Thank you。
好，那我们 see you next time。好，我们就之后展览见，或是在线上活动见。好，谢谢大家。OK，
Gracias。
Gracias。